Between now and 10, though, some great guests to speak to as ever. Ben Driscoll and Chris Harknett, first of all. They've each got a big part to play in a new production of Macbeth that's coming to Exeter. Ben's the director, while Chris will be on stage playing Macbeth himself. They're both Devon graduates. What is different about this show, though, is that they're using 21st century technology to bring the 400-year-old play to life. It must be quite difficult, guys, to come up with a new twist on Macbeth that's been performed well goodness knows how many times.
It's one of those much loved plays, you know. It's everyone's kind of have some take of it. They've seen it before, or they've studied it at school, most likely, and we want to try and bring it to an accessible way to bring it forward to an audience for fans of Shakespeare, fans of theatre, and also non-fans as well.
That's the key, isn't it? It's getting the people who aren't fans of Shakespeare.
Yeah, and that was where I as an actor kind of came into first working with Shakespeare from that kind of standpoint of like I don't get this, I don't understand it. And once it was brought to life for me, once someone kind of showed me kind of a new way of doing things, the Shakespeare just comes to life. It's really enjoyable, both as a performer and as a viewer.
So I talk about the 21st century technology. We'll talk more about this in a minute, but what are you doing? What is different?
So conceptually wise, we're performing in the Exeter Conference Centre, which is on Northern Hay Street in Exeter. And it's a vast space, and we're performing on two levels. There's an upper mezzanine area and balconies and stairs going between, and we're trying to play with the scale of it. So where we've got the large space and we can see these characters over distance, and when they have this closeness, we're also playing with a live feed. So I myself will be there with a camera in the space and recording details of what an actor's doing. So where there's a lot of themes of deception and things an actor is concealing, I can point a camera to an actor's hands, and it's projected live to a TV that's in the space.
So you've got a sort of a big screen to look at, basically,
exactly, yeah. So we have these little moments where we see the kind of big picture, and then we hone in on the kind of minute detail of what an actor's trying to deliver through the tightening of a grip on a sword, or through the shake of a hand, or these kind of little details like this that we can really bring to an audience's attention.
I wonder what the bard would have made of that.
Yeah. I think he would have done it if he was still alive.
What about the language? Have you changed the language so that everybody can understand what you're talking about?
The language is completely intact. Personally, we believe that if the performer is skilled enough, which hopefully I am.
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
Exactly. But if the performer can communicate the language, and if the audience can just stop trying to translate the language into a modern day, just let the language wash over you, then you don't need to change the text. You really don't. And I was the biggest skeptic of that when I first started working with Shakespeare. But now I'm an ardent convert.
It's through a lot of slowly. It's through a lot of we spend a lot of time looking at it with the cast. We've got a very talented cast, mostly local actors, the odd from London and other places, but we've got graduates from Exeter that study the MA in Shakespeare. We've got one that's doing a PhD here in Plymouth. And it's really useful that we can draw upon those, and sometimes we'll spend good 15, 20 minutes talking about a sentence or a word and making sure that we really understand it. And it's once the actors understand it that we can really deliver that to an audience and kind of make sure they understand it as well.
We will come back and talk more in a moment. We've already heard the voice of Dick Bell.
BBC Radio Devon.
It's 9:25. I'm Michael Chequer with you till 10 this morning. Amongst my guests today, Ben Driscoll and Chris Harknett, who are in the new production of Macbeth that's coming to Exeter. I say in. Ben's directing it. Chris is playing the part of Macbeth, which makes you the lead actor, I suppose, Chris, doesn't it?
Yeah, lead actor. All sounds very...
I'm honoured.
Yeah, very, very, very high and lofty there.
I have to ask, first of all, of course, I'm gaily trotting out the title of the play. Now, in theatre, traditionally, one doesn't mention it. Is that still the case, or is that a bit old hat these days?
I try and avoid superstitions, but we're not in a traditional theatre, so I think we get away with it performing in the Exeter Conference Centre. So.
And it's allowed on the radio, you think, is it?
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. Yeah. Hopefully no one's...
It is still a current superstition, though. People still think that.
So you know what? Yeah. It's actually a very lucky play. It's the kind of the play, especially in the time that it was written, if you had a flop, you'd put on Macbeth.
Because people have come back in to see that.
Exactly, because it's so... and all of the superstition around it only helps that. It creates this mystique. And so at the time everyone would flock to a production of Macbeth, and so if a production got cancelled, they just literally moved Macbeth in.
I'm going to say that's not the reason we've chosen it.
No.
We've been very fortunate with our last production that it was very well received, and we're really proud of the productions we've been making. So
you say we? Who's we?
Myself and Chris, both. The last one we did was The Tempest, also Shakespeare.
Because the company's called the Individual Theatre
Individual
Company.
Theatre, yeah. And all the information is on the website, which is, if you search individualtheatre.co.uk, that'll go straight to the Macbeth page, and then there's also links to all the other things that Individual Arts, which is the kind of larger company, does. But yeah, we have videos. We've got videos from the cast, interviews. Where we try and make Shakespeare accessible, it's also through the people can research from the website. So there's videos there, there's text there. We've got a production diary, and then you can also book tickets online through the website. So yeah, individualtheatre.co.uk, and it goes straight to the Macbeth page from there.
You talk about making Shakespeare accessible. Let's go back to basics there. First of all, I'm interested to ask, Dick, do you find Shakespeare accessible? Do you enjoy Shakespeare? Be honest.
I did Julius Caesar at school, and at Cromwell when I was a cadet. I played Mark Antony and that sort of nonsense. Are you guys going to do Julius Caesar? Please do Julius Caesar. Wonderful.
Are you trying to get a part? Are you trying to cast
angling for that
for you,
one.
Dick, we'll do it. Yeah.
And Tom, how about you? Can you engage with Shakespeare? Honest answer.
So this is an interesting one. I'm personally not much of a fan of Shakespeare, but I know, especially at my school, there are some people that really like sort of the traditional texts, including Shakespeare. I was going to ask you two, actually, what's sort of the usual not voter turnout, I'm getting political again, sort of the young people attending Shakespeare especially?
You know what? We actually have a really great record with getting younger audiences in. And I think that's a lot to do with like the new media that we're using. We're very active on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is called Individual Arts, and we're very active on social media. We're very, so I think we are hitting those kind of new media aspects, which tend to be more received by the younger audiences. And I think the problem is, I think where we get this perception from that Shakespeare is somehow inaccessible, I think the problem is most of us we first experience Shakespeare in school, and we experience it in an English lesson, and rather than going out and seeing it,
you need to see it performed.
We have a bunch of untrained, 14-year-olds or whatever. We have these untrained people cold reading a Shakespearean text,
which
and expecting to enjoy it
in language that they're not familiar with, because it is like a different language to some extent. Isn't it?
It's poetry. It's speaking in poetry non-stop, which, especially in a modern period, that's pretty much it's unheard of.
It's metered but unrhymed.
But I think as well, I mean, we try and make it accessible as well. I mean, from our price point, we're totally self-funded. It's only through ticket sales, and we still offer prices of it's like £10 for an adult, £8 for concession, and we offer family tickets as well, because we really do like to attract families and we like to attract younger people. We honestly believe this is a play that anyone from young teenagers upwards can see and can enjoy, and I think it's really nice to kind of try and target that family market as well as any individuals that like to come.
Chris, do you know all your lines yet?
I am there. Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Okay, because in a moment I'm going to ask you to give me a little bit of a Macbeth speech.
Can
you do that?
Live
I'm up for that.
While you're thinking about which one it's going to be, though, Ben, for those who don't know, what is the story of Macbeth?
The story it
doesn't end well, does it?
Not to give it away, but no, it doesn't end particularly well. Essentially, it's a story about. We're playing it with a young Macbeth, which is something we're exploring about the possibility of this being a young character. We're exploring. So the idea is this man who's given these prophecies, essentially that he will be king, is the main factor, and then it's more the decisions that he makes to obtain that. And there's kind of different ways he could go about this, whether he kind of naturally lets that happen, but where we're playing with a young Macbeth, we're kind of playing with that impatience of youth, and he steals it from him. He steals it. He murders the current king and takes it from him, and then we kind of see from there in the second half of the play the kind of downfall from that, and how he kind of from the decisions he's made, the kind of the downward spiral he goes on from there. Again, not to give too much away, but well, I guess most people know it.
As I said, it doesn't end well.
It doesn't end well. No,
exactly.
No.
Go on then, Chris. Let's tell us what you're going to. Tell us what you're going to give us, and then. Give us a blast.
So this is the tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow speech, which comes after Macbeth has just been told, again, spoiler alert here, that his wife has died, and usually it's played as though she's killed herself. In fact, it's very much there in the text.
Yeah.
And but he's in the midst of this invasion of his castle, and so it's very much his way of dealing with this death. And contemplating about it, and it's very, very tragic.
And contemplating his own death as well, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
That's a little clear of the fact. We're ready for you now.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out! Out, brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
There you go.
That was superb. Well done.
I must say, that was absolutely terrifying. Give me an audience and I'm fine. But
oh no, you see, as a radio person, I'd be terrified doing what you're doing. So when you can see the whites of people's eyes, that's far,
that's right.
that's far more alarming. Listen, Chris, that's brilliant. Stay with us. I know you will for the rest of the hour while we talk to Dick and to Tom as well. But good luck with the show. I know it's on. You open on Saturday 28th, isn't it?
Yes. Saturday 28th,
which is a week today.
We're
through
down
to the
there.
2nd of March.
Through to the 2nd of March. And you can buy tickets online, individualtheatre.co.uk, and then also you can buy them from the Exeter Visitor Information Centre in person as well. So,
you said that too fast.
I've got a natural tendency.
That's why he's not the actor.
Yeah, exactly. The cast are used to it by now. But
say it again then, more slowly.
I'll let Chris do
Where
this
can
one.
you buy the tickets from?
So you can buy online from individualtheatre.co.uk, or you can pop by the Exeter Visitor Centre in Princess Hay and pick them up in person.
Was that better?
That was that. I understood.
Excellent.
That,
See, that's the actor's delivery point.